Shalom. First and foremost, I want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Chakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles, bishops, and elders of the great millstone who taught us this truth. Shalom also to the Akim pushing this word in sincerity and in truth, and to the speckled bird across the four corners of the world, and to the few sisters who are listening to you. I say Shalom. Lord willing, this will be an edifying lesson on the brother Khadashi from the GMS Chicago camp, coming back at you with another lesson. And what I wanted to get into with this lesson is I was meditating on a topic right now while I'm at work, and I was thinking about just, while reading the book of Exodus, one of the main things that our people would do in the wilderness is that they would ultimately, limit the Holy One of Israel. They would try to put the Lord in a box, and they thought that the Lord's power was limited, and that, they would always be murmuring and scoffing, not knowing that Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, the Most High God, Yahawah, He created the heavens and the earth. He created all things in general. All right, and that's what the scriptures say. It says right here, Sirach 18:1, He that liveth forever has created all things in general. The Lord only is righteous, and there is none other but He, who governeth the world with the palm of His hand, and all things obey His will. For He is the King of all, by His power dividing holy things among them from profane. So the Most High God Yahawah, through His Son Yahawashi, has created all things in general. All right, whether it be the heavens, the constellations in the heavens, the body of stars, the planets, the moons of the different planets, our moon, the earth. All right, the things in the earth, the mountains, the animals, any variety of things that you could think of, Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi has created all things in general. And knowing that the Lord has created all things in general, you know that there's nothing to the Most High God, Yahawah, that is impossible. All right, it says right here, Luke 1:37, for with God nothing shall be impossible. All right, so with Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, nothing is impossible. You must understand that the Most High God, Yahawah, the power that we serve, all right, the God of the Israelites, our God, all right, the God of you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, and you speckled birds, the God of the Israelites, our power, He created all things in general, and with Him, nothing shall be impossible. All right, nothing. Absolutely nothing, man. And hey, even in the book of Jeremiah, the question is posed, is there anything too hard for me? It says right here, Jeremiah 32:17, Ah, Lord God, behold, Thou hast made the heaven and the earth by Thy great power and stretched Thou arm, and there is nothing too hard for Thee. You see? So there's nothing too hard for the Lord. And then He repeats it again. It says, behold, I am Yahawah, the God of all flesh. Is there anything too hard for me? And the answer is no. The answer is that there's absolutely nothing that is too hard for the Lord to do. The Most High God, Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, all right, the Most High God, Yahawah, through His Son, Yahawashi, has created all things in general, and there's not a limit to what the Lord could actually do. You got to understand that, man, that there's nothing too hard for the Lord. But see, what our people would do is that they would limit the Holy One of Israel, man. But us coming back into our faith, coming and waking up to the fact that we're Israelites, all right, and coming back to our heritage and so on and so forth, when we read these accounts really serve as a learning. All right, they really serve for our learning, because we're supposed to learn from these accounts, especially the unfaithful accounts that the wicked amongst our nation, what they would do in their wickedness, man. We got to learn from that. so that we do not follow in the same footsteps, man. When you read what the things that were happening in the wilderness, our people were constantly murmuring against the Lord, limiting the Holy One of Israel, and ultimately constantly provoking the Lord, man, because of their unfaithfulness. All right. Hey, when our people would show no faith towards the Lord, all right, that would cause them to move in very, adulterous, unholy, very worldly type of ways, where the Lord was absolutely disgusted with our people, man. All right. Our people, the Lord was just wroth with our people because of how they were moving, man. Because they were constantly murmuring, man. Constantly being unfaithful. Constantly doing things that was just like, what the fuck? And it's because they had no faith, man. So when we read these accounts, we're supposed to learn from them. It says Romans 15:4, for whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. So the things that were written aforetime, they were written for our learning. While we patiently wait for the second return of who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, his true name being Yahawashi, Hamashiach, all right, Hamashiach meaning the anointed, all right. While we patiently wait for the Lord, we have the comfort of the scriptures, man, all right. While we patiently wait for the second return of Yahawashi. So these accounts that we read about, they're written for our learning. And one of the main things that we could learn from the previous generations of our people is that they showed no faith, man. They were constantly murmuring against the Lord, and that's something that us in these last days we gotta beware of, man. Because let me just read this. This is Psalms 78, and I'm gonna start off at verse 40. But this whole chapter is good, man. All right, this whole chapter is really good. All right, but it goes into how our people, let me actually read a little bit. It says right here, Psalm 78:14, it says, in the daytime also he led them with a cloud, and all the night with the light of fire. He clave the rocks in the wilderness and gave them drink as out of the great depths. He brought streams also out of the rock and caused waters to run down like rivers. And they sinned yet more against him by provoking the Most High in the wilderness. And they tempted God in their heart by asking for meat for their lust. Yea, they spake against God. They said, can God furnish a table in the wilderness? Behold, he smote the rock that waters gushed out and the streams overflowed. Can he give bread also? Can he provide flesh for his people? Therefore the Lord heard this and was wroth. So a fire was kindled against Jacob, and anger also came up against Israel, because they believed not in God and trusted not in his salvation. So see, our people were constantly always murmuring against the Lord, man. All right, here it is. The Lord has power to deliver them out of Egypt. All the different miracles that he performed before delivering them out of Egypt, and every single plague that he brought upon the Egyptians, the children of Israel didn't suffer as the Egyptians, man. To show that there was a difference between the children of Israel and the Egyptians, man. You got to think about how the Lord, he fucked up the Egyptians, man. All right. First, it was the miracle where he told Aaron to cast down his rod, and then it turned into a serpent, and his serpent swallowed up all the rods of the wise men. All right. And then from there, the rivers turned into blood. All right. Then there was frogs. Then there was a stink in the land. All right. Then the Lord told Aaron to smite the dust, and it became lice upon man and beast. Then the Lord, there was a grievous swarm of flies. So time after time, the Lord was showing the power that he had on earth. All right. He had power over the waters. He turned them into blood. He had power over the wise men, showing that they were not really wise men, showing that the power of Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi was greater than, what they were doing. They were doing stuff on the left-hand side. But see, Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi's power trumps all of that, man. Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi, he is. And he created all things in general. So he had power over the wise men. He had power over the waters. He turned them into blood. He had power over the lice. He had power over the beasts. He put a murrain on the beast. So the Lord had power over the beast to put a disease on them so they could die. The Lord had power to bring a darkness that they could feel. You got to think about how powerful Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi really is. You cannot limit the Holy One of Israel, man. And then when they got delivered out of Egypt, all right, there was the miracle where the Lord told, Moses to stretch forth his hand, and then it divided the waters, man, and they walked on dry land. You had walls of water on the left hand and on the right, and they walked through that land on dry land. And then after that, they were getting, look, bro, you got to understand, the Most High God, Yahawah, you cannot limit the Holy One of Israel, man. The Lord has power over everything, man. He created the heavens and the earth. And when you read the book of Exodus, man, all the miracles that the Lord performed and all the plagues that he brought upon the Egyptians, that shows you the power of the Lord. The Lord had power over the beasts, over the waters. All right? Yeah, like, man. And even despite all of that, our people would still tempt the Lord and murmur against him and try to limit him, man. You see? Which that unfaithfulness, the Lord is displeased with that unfaithfulness, man. The Lord hates when there's unfaithful people amongst our nation, man. That's why the scripture says that all the unfaithfulness shall die in their unfaithfulness, man. The Lord does not like when our people are unfaithful, when they don't believe. The Lord is grieved with the unfaithful amongst our nation. That's why 2/3 ultimately are going to perish, because they don't believe. They limit the Holy One of Israel. They provoke him to anger. They ultimately don't care about the Lord, and they don't care enough to obey. They just don't fear the Lord, man. They don't fear the Lord enough to turn back to Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi. They don't fear the Lord to the point that they actually murmur against Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi. And the fact, look, when you read the book of Exodus, all of that proves that, man. Our people are not afraid of the Lord. They had like the audacity to murmur against the power of heaven and earth, man. That's why the Lord would, man, all the calamities he brought upon the children of Israel in the wilderness, man, because of their unbelief. All right, it says Psalm 78:40, it says, how often did they provoke him in the wilderness and grieve him in the desert? Yea, they turned back and tempted God and limited the Holy One of Israel. They remembered not his hand, nor the day when he delivered them from the enemy. So our people were constantly tempting the Most High God, man. Constantly tempting him, limiting the Holy One of Israel. All right? Which you cannot limit you cannot limit Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi, man. There is an account where a heathen came up against us, and they basically said, like, oh, God is only a God of the field. He's not a God of the man, how does it go? Let me see if I could find that account real quick. Because there was an account where a heathen was basically like, oh, their God is only a God of the field, but not a God of the, let me see, God of the valley or God of the field. Let me see if I can find that real quick. Oh, right here. This is 1 Kings 20:27. It says, and the children of Israel were numbered and were all present and went against them. And the children of Israel pitched before them like two little flocks of kids. but the Syrians filled the country. So the children of Israel and the Syrians were at war. All right. And the Syrians outnumbered the children of Israel. All right. And it says, and there came a man of God and spake unto the king of Israel and said, thus saith the Lord, because the Syrians have said, the Lord, it says Yahawah is God of the hills, but he is not God of the valleys. Therefore will I deliver all this great multitude in thine hand, and ye shall know that I am the Lord. All right, so basically, the Syrians, in their mind, they said that that Yahawah, he's the God of the hills, but he's not God of the valleys. So if we fight them in the valley, the children of Israel are going to be through. So a man of God came to the king of Israel and basically told him that because the Syrians have said that the Lord is God of the hills, but he is not God of the valleys, therefore will I deliver all this great multitude, all these armies of the Syrians into your hand, and you shall know that I am Yahawah. So the Lord basically was saying, oh, so you're trying to limit me. You're trying to say that I'm only the God of the hills, but not the God of the valleys? All right, bet. I'm going to deliver your whole host into the king of Israel because you said I'm only the God of the hills and not the God of the valleys. You cannot limit the Holy One of Israel, man. You cannot say that the Lord is limited in his power and he's only able to do this. He's only able to do that. He can't do this. He can't do that. Nah. We just read in the book of Luke, the first chapter, that with God, nothing shall be impossible. We read in the book of Jeremiah, is there anything too hard for me? There's nothing too hard with Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi. All the accounts that the Lord brought out, look, in the scriptures, man, when you read the book of Judges, let's read how the Lord was with, or the book of Joshua, Salakia. When you read the book of Joshua, the 10th chapter, let's see how the Lord was with Joshua, man. Because the whole reason why I'm bringing these accounts out is to show you that the Lord is not limited in his power, man. All right? He was able to make water come out of rocks. All right? To give water unto the children of Israel. He made quails come out to feed us. All right? He made a manna come down from heaven to feed our people. All right? And they were all filled. Whether they grabbed a big portion or a small portion, but every man was filled, man. And then even the plagues that the Lord brought upon the Egyptians, you cannot limit the Holy One of Israel, man. He has power over the beasts to put plagues on the beasts. He has power over the sun and the moon to bring a darkness that you could feel. He could make apparitions pop out. When you read the book of Job, hey, he told Satan, that basically you have power over his health, just don't kill him. So the Lord has power over our health. He has power over the beasts. He has power over the sun and the moon. He has power over everything, man. He created all things in general. And the Lord has power over everything. He's omnipotent, meaning he's all powerful. Omni meaning all, potent meaning power, man. The Lord is all powerful. There's nothing that you could limit the Holy One of Israel on, man. Let's read this account real quick. This is Joshua 10 and 12. It says, then spake Joshua to Yahawah in the day when Yahawah delivered up the Amorites before the children of Israel. And he said in the sight of Israel, sun, stand thou still upon Gibeon, and thou moon in the valley of Ajalon. And the sun stood still and the moon stayed until the people had avenged themselves upon their enemies. Is not this written in the book of Yasher? So the sun stood still in the midst of heaven and hasted not to go down about a whole day. And there was no day like that before it or after it, that the Lord hearkened unto the voice of a man. For Yahawah fought for Israel. So the Lord, the Lord allowed Joshua to ultimately, you know, because Joshua basically told the sun to stand still, and he told the moon to in the valley, to stand still in the valley of Ajalon. So the sun stood still and the moon stayed. Who do you think allowed that to happen? Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi. You see? So the Lord has power over the sun and the moon to make it stay. And it says that the moon and the sun stayed until the people had avenged themselves upon their enemies. So the Lord, look, you cannot limit the Holy One of Israel, man. And then going back to that account that we just read in the book of Kings, the Syrians, in their mind, they said, well, the Lord is only the God of the hills. He's not a God of the valleys. So the Lord allowed the children of Israel, he delivered the Syrians into the children of Israel, man, to fuck them up. All because they tried to limit the Most High God, Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, man, to show you that, yes, I'm with the Israelites. Because then at the end of that verse it says, and you shall know that I am Yahawah. Look, man, you cannot limit the Holy One of Israel, man. You cannot limit Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, man. Hey, even the account with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they stepped into the fiery furnace and they did not burn. Let's read that real quick. You got to really go into these accounts, man, because these accounts boost up your faith. All right? They boost up your faith, showing you like the Lord is not limited, man. The Lord has power over everything and anything that you could possibly think of. All right? There's nothing that's impossible to the Lord. The Most High God has power over the moon, the sun, over who wins the battle, over your health, over the beasts, over the animals. So why do you think the scripture says that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom? Because why would you not fear a God, a power that has that literally has control over everything that you see before you? How would you not fear Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, man? Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi has control over everything that you see before you, man. So it would be very wise to fear Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, man. All right, but let me get this real quick. I got to go back to work already, but let me just read this account real quick. This is Daniel 3:16. It says, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. If it be so, our power, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. So, hey, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they're standing 10 toes on their faith, man. They're not bowing down to the image. They're telling Nebuchadnezzar straight up, we're not going to be careful to answer you in this matter. Look, the Lord could deliver us out of this fiery furnace, but if not, be it known unto you, nigga, that we're not going to worship your golden image that you set up. We're not going to bow down to your fucking image. All right? They stood on their faith, man. And in these last days, the reason why we got to really read in these accounts and really get these testimonies within our heart and our mind, our heart being our mind, Salakia, is because when you go through certain things, your mind is going to go to these accounts of our forefathers and the faith that they displayed. And they're going to help you ultimately get through whatever obstacle we're about to go through in these last days, man. Because look, Jacob's trouble is coming. All these crazy situations are about to start happening. All right, things are about to turn up, man. All right. But Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi is going to be with us, man. All right. Just like how he was with the Israelites during the time of the judges, man. Read about all the accounts in the time of judges when the Lord would send a mighty judge to deliver the children of Israel, man. And every single judge, when you read the scriptures, man, the Lord was with them. And the Lord would always bring a mighty salvation through them. And now we have the ultimate judge, which is Yahawashi. And you don't think that with Yahawashi returning, you don't think that all these miracles are going to play out in these last days, man? Come on, man. You can't limit the Holy One of Israel. We're in the times of great salvation. We're in the time where the Lord is about to show his right hand. All right? Which is Yahawashi. You got to understand that as we get closer and closer to the second return of who this world ignorantly calls JC, who his real name is Yahawashi, as we get closer to his return, the power of the Lord is going to be magnified in the earth, man. Miracles are going to start happening very soon. All right. So you got to understand that, look, what we're about to go through, we're going to need these miracles, man. We're going to need the Lord in these last days, man. All right. So when you go into the scriptures, man, you read about how the Lord was with our forefathers, man. How he delivered us, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego out of the fiery furnace, man. Showing you that the Lord has power over fire, man. Over our bodies, man, to not get burned. When Daniel was in the lion's den, what happened? It says that the Lord closed the mouth of the lions. The Lord has power over the beasts, bro. Over lions, man. You know, there's people out there that have, one of their greatest fears is a lion, man. Some people's greatest fear is a snake, a spider, all these different fears, these earthly fears. What you really should fear is Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, that created all things in general, that created these terrible beasts before you that you see. The Lord created that lion. The Lord created that serpent that you're afraid of. The Lord created everything that you see, man. So the one that you should fear is Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, man. He was able to deliver our forefathers out of, man, crazy situations, man. That when you read about it, it's like, wow, man. It boosts your faith, man. It increases your hope, your expectation that the Lord is gonna come through for us, man. You gotta read these testimonies, man. All right. And it says right here, Daniel 3:19. Then was Nebuchadnezzar full of fury, and the form of his visage was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So he got mad as fuck. Therefore he spake and commanded that they should heat the furnace 7 times more than it was wont to be heated. And he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and to cast them in the burning fiery furnace. Then these men were bound in their coats, their hosen, and their hats, and their other garments, and were cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Therefore, because the king's commandment was urgent, and the furnace was exceeding hot, the flame of the fire slew those men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. But these 3 men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down bound into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished, and rose up in haste, and spake and said unto his counselors, Did not we cast 3 men bound into the midst of the fire? They answered and said unto the king, True, O king. He answered and said, Lo, I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt. And the form of the 4th is like the Son of God. So Yahawashi was in there with them. All right. And they didn't get burned. They did not get burned. But the mighty men that grabbed Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they got burned. All right? But Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, hey man, they were loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they were not hurt. It says, then Nebuchadnezzar came near to the mouth of the burning fiery furnace and spake and said, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, ye servants of the Most High God, come forth and come hither. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came forth of the midst of the fire, and the princes, governors, and captains, and the king's counselors, being gathered together, saw these men, upon whose bodies the fire had no power, nor was an hair of their head singed, neither were their coats changed, nor the smell of fire had passed on them. Then Nebuchadnezzar spake and said, Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who has sent his angel and delivered his servants that trusted in him, and have changed the king's word, and yielded their bodies, that they might not serve nor worship any god except their own God. So what can we extract from this? That Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they did opposite of what the Israelites did in the wilderness. The Israelites in the wilderness, what did they do? We read that Psalms, the 78th chapter, that they provoked the Most High God, and they limited the Holy One of Israel. So the children of Israel in the wilderness, they were unfaithful. They just did not believe the Lord. They would limit the Holy One of Israel. But Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, what did they do in this account? They displayed a great amount of faith. They had faith that Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi could deliver them out of the fiery furnace. And if not, they told Nebuchadnezzar, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve nor bow down to thy gods. So they displayed faith. They told Nebuchadnezzar, whether we get delivered or not, we're not going to bow down to your idol. So they showed faith, man. And because they showed faith, the Lord delivered them, man. When you go into the accounts of our forefathers, let me end it off with this, man. Our forefathers that had faith, the Lord showed a mighty, mighty salvation unto them, man. Having faith on Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi in these last days is going to save us, man. Lord willing, if we endure unto the end. And if we truly have faith in Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, the Lord is about to show us miracles, man. Miracles for every single brother that is worshiping Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi in sincerity and in truth, man. These last days are going to be beautiful, man. As scary as they are, and as things are ramping up through the spirit and prophecy is speaking loud and clear, we got to remember that that Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi is not limited in his power, and he is going to come through and save us, man. He's going to show mighty works in these last days, man. All right? The Lord is about to do miracles, man. And he has been doing miracles, man. All the accounts that brothers be bringing out, man, when their prayers get answered, that's a miracle, man. The fact that we have this truth and have faith in it, that's a miracle, man. So we're going to go very, very soon from glory to glory, all right? And the Lord is going to start showing miracles, man. It says right here, Sirach 2:10, look at the generations of old and see, did ever any trust in the Lord and was confounded? Or did any abide in his fear and was forsaken? Or whom did he ever despise that called upon him? And when you through your mind, you start to meditate on those questions, everybody that trusted in the Lord was not confounded, man. The Lord was with Joshua, man. The Lord told, Joshua told the sun, stand still, and the moon, and they stood still. The Lord allowed that to happen. The Lord told Moses to stretch forth his hand, and the waters divided, man. The Lord, everybody that abided in the fear of the Lord was not forsaken. Everybody that called upon the Lord were not despised, man. When you look at the generations of old and you see all these accounts, they prove the power of the Lord, that he is not limited, man. But every single time that our people would limit the Holy One of Israel, what would happen? They would get judged. They would get destroyed. They would lose battles. They would die. They would get cursed. They would get diseased. They would get, like, all these different calamities would fall upon them because of their unbelief towards Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, man. But everybody that trusted in the Lord, look at the great salvation that the Lord brought for them. Look at the power the Lord displayed for them. Look at the miracles that happened. When you read the things that Elijah did, man, he made fire come down from heaven. He raised people from the dead. You read the things that Yahawashi did. He transfigured before James, John, and Peter. All right. He was raising people from the dead, cleansing lepers, giving sight to the blind. All right. Casting out devils with his word. Removing a legion. I'm talking about a legion of demons off people, man. All right. A legion, I believe when you go into that word, goes into about 6,000. So Yahawashi, man, you got to understand, man, the Lord is not limited in his power. He has power over everything and anything, over our health, over the sun and the moon and the stars and the constellations, over the things on the earth, over our bodies, over battles, over animals, over anything that you could think of, man. The Lord has created all things in general, man. And when you read the scriptures, man, the accounts you read, they should increase your faith and show you that, look, you cannot limit the Holy One of Israel, man. There's nothing too hard for the Lord, man. Nothing. And the salvation that, Lord willing, if we endure unto the end, the salvation that the Lord is about to bring upon Babylon the Great and the destruction he's about to bring upon this place is going to be a great salvation and a great destruction, man. It's going to be amazing, man. All right. And that within itself is also going to prove the power of the Lord, man. Hey, man, bro, we're in some great, we're living in some beautiful times, man. All right. So with that, Lord willing, this was an edifying lesson. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Rachakodash. Double honors unto the apostles, bishops, and elders of the great millstone who taught us this truth. Shalom and Abba Baba.